My parents begged me to calm down for my perfect sister's sake. I didn't, and they skipped the wedding. Now they're begging again, just to save face at hers. You know that moment when your whole life flashes before your eyes, and you realize everything you believed was a lie? Mine hit me in my wedding dress, standing at the garden door, peering through a tiny crack. My heart absolutely sank when I saw them. 2 front-row seats, adorned with satin ribbons and delicate lilies, completely, undeniably empty. My parents weren't there. Behind me, I could hear the hushed whispers ripple through the guests. Where are her parents? Did something happen? I'd tried to tell myself they were just running late, always running late for me. The string quartet finished their piece, the last notes hanging in the air like a question mark, right alongside the one in my own mind. I closed my eyes, willing back the tears. Not now, Leah. Not after 40 minutes on this makeup. Then Evan's voice, soft but steady, cut through my despair. Leah. I turned to him, my fiancé, standing there so handsome in his charcoal suit. His blue eyes, usually so bright, were filled with this mix of concern and a simmering anger he was trying so hard to hide for my sake. He took my hand, his thumb tracing gentle circles on my skin. They're not coming, are they? He asked. I forced a smile that felt like it was cracking right off my face. Let's not keep everyone waiting. Honestly, the realization wasn't as shocking as it should have been. Hadn't I spent my entire life chasing their approval? Always coming in second place to my sister Morgan, with her perfect face splashed across magazine pages. I still remember being 16, bursting with pride, telling my father I'd won the state computer science competition. He just glanced up from his newspaper, nodded, and said, "That's nice, sweetheart." Then, in the very next breath, he'd called out, "Carol, did you see Morgan's new Vogue feature?" My eyes had followed his to the gleaming frame on the mantelpiece, showcasing her perfect smile, while my little certificate ended up in a drawer, just like all the others. Even now, standing here on my wedding day, a part of me, that desperate, childish part, still wished they'd burst through those doors with some grand, reasonable explanation. Maybe if I'm perfect enough today, they'll finally see me. But I knew deep down they wouldn't. And I knew it. Evan's father appeared beside us, looking so distinguished in his suit. His eyes flicked to the empty seats, then back to me, kind, but not pitying. "Everything's ready when you are, my dear," he said quietly. I took a deep breath and nodded. Evan squeezed my hand one last time before heading to the altar. Then, Mrs. Rhodes, my soon-to-be mother-in-law, glided over. This incredible woman had spent the day before arranging every single flower herself, coordinating with caterers, asking about my favorite desserts. She looked at me, always, from the very first day we met, as if I were someone truly worthy of her son. She adjusted a flower in my hair with such gentle fingers. "You look beautiful, Leah," she whispered, "truly beautiful." The wedding march began, and the garden doors swung open. All 120 guests rose to their feet, turning to watch me. I started my walk down the aisle alone. No father to give me away, no mother dabbing tears with a handkerchief. But there was Evan, waiting for me. And the smile he gave me, that smile always made me feel found, not lost. The ceremony was a blur. Suddenly, we were husband and wife, sealing our promises with a kiss as applause erupted around us. We turned to face our guests, hand in hand, and for a moment, just for a moment, I almost forgot those empty chairs. But then the reception started. "Ladies and gentlemen," the DJ announced, his voice booming. "It's time for the father-daughter dance." The words hit me like a physical blow. I froze, champagne glass halfway to my lips, as the spotlight swept the room, searching for a dance that simply wouldn't happen. A crushing silence fell. I felt every eye on me, 100 expressions of sympathy I absolutely did not want. Then, Evan's father stepped forward, extending his hand. "May I have this honor, Leah?" The sheer kindness in his eyes almost broke me. I placed my hand in his, and he led me to the center of the dance floor. As we swayed to the music, I caught glimpses of guests watching us, some wiping away tears, others smiling with genuine approval. "Thank you," I whispered, blinking rapidly to keep my composure. "Family isn't always blood," he said simply. guiding me through a gentle turn. The reception continued. Cake was cut, toasts were made. I almost managed to lose myself in the celebration until I felt my phone vibrate in the hidden pocket of my wedding dress. I slipped away to check it, finding 3 messages from Morgan. The most recent one read, "Mom and Dad are devastated you didn't make sure they got invitations. How could you forget your own parents?" Something cold and hard formed in the pit of my stomach. I stared at the screen, reading the words over and over until they blurred. They were lying. I knew it. I'd sent their invitations myself, checked the tracking number, confirmed delivery. This wasn't about my happiness. This was about their image. The realization washed over me with startling clarity. I silenced my phone and slipped it back into my pocket. When I returned, I caught fragments of conversations as I passed by clusters of guests. Always about Morgan, my Aunt Marie was saying to my cousin. Remember Leah's high school graduation? They left early because Morgan had that callback. Carol and Daniel care more about appearances than actual relationships, someone else murmured. Always have. Poor girl, imagine not showing up to your daughter's wedding. I felt Evan's presence before I saw him, his hand finding mine as if drawn by some invisible force. He didn't ask what was wrong. He didn't need to. Ready to get out of here? He asked, nodding toward the exit where our getaway car waited. I looked around at the celebration, at his family, who welcomed me without question, at friends who showed up to witness our commitment, at the beautiful garden where I became Mrs. Rhodes, despite the empty seats in the front row. Yes, I said, feeling something shift inside me, something like resolve. As we ran through a shower of rose petals toward our future, I made a silent promise to myself. This is the last time I'll wait for people who never plan to show up. Fast forward 2 weeks. The honeymoon glow from Maui had faded faster than my tan. I was standing in our Seattle apartment kitchen, staring at my phone. 3 weeks of silence from my parents after our wedding, and I'd finally worked up the courage to call them. You forgot to invite us. Mom's voice was cold, accusatory. We never got the invitation, Leah. My hand trembled as I opened my laptop. That's not true, Mom. I sent both email and physical invitations. I have the receipts. Don't be dramatic, she said, that familiar dismissal cutting deeper than it should after 32 years of practice. I pulled up the email confirmation. I'm looking at the receipt right now. The email was delivered and opened on March 12th at 9:47 a.m. Dad even replied with, "Thanks for letting us know." A beat of silence. Well, sometimes these systems make mistakes, she hedged. And the tracking information shows the physical invitation was delivered to. Keep waiting to feel guilty, but instead, I just feel calm. Like I finally see them clearly. Evan nodded, considering this. What changed? The question made me pause, fork halfway to my lips. I think it's knowing I have options they can't take away. I gestured around our apartment. My job pays $96,000 a year. I have proof they're lying. I have you. For the first time, I don't need their approval to survive. When my phone powered back on in the morning, there were 17 new messages. One caught my eye immediately. From Evan. Check your email. Morgan texted me. The message she sent him made my blood boil. You should help Leah behave better. Networking with successful family could benefit your career. Evan's response appeared below it. I only care about Leah's happiness, not her networking value. Pride swelled in my chest, momentarily displacing the anger. This man who sees me as a person, not a pawn, who defends my worth without hesitation. Morgan's replies became increasingly frantic. This is ridiculous. She's tearing apart the family. Our mother is devastated. Your loyalty should be to family harmony, not enabling her tantrums. After the 5th message, there was a final one from Evan. We're blocking this number. Don't contact us again. I blocked her, Evan said when I looked up from my phone. I hope that's okay. More than okay, I said, feeling a weight lift from my shoulders. It's perfect. That evening, Evan's mother called. My stomach tightened automatically, expecting more pressure. Leah, honey. I got the strangest text from your sister. Mrs. Rhodes' voice was calm but concerned. Something about your psychological instability? I'm forwarding it to you now. The screenshot arrived with Mrs. Rhodes' commentary. Garbage. You and Evan come over for my meatloaf tonight. Dinner at the Rhodes house felt like stepping into another dimension. No walking on eggshells, no veiled criticisms or competitions. Just easy conversation, genuine interest in our lives, and enough meatloaf to feed an army. More potatoes, Leah? Mr. Rhodes passed the bowl before I even asked. I heard you got that new project at work. The security system design, right? The simple acknowledgement of my career, something my parents never managed, brought an unexpected lump to my throat. Tell us more about it, Mrs. Rhodes encouraged, refilling my water glass. Evan says you're leading the team now. As I explained the project, they listened attentively, asking thoughtful questions. No one changed the subject to talk about someone more important. No one checked their watch impatiently. They treated me like I mattered. Is this what family is supposed to feel like? 2 days later, my phone rang with my Aunt Marie's number. Leah, I wanted to talk to you about Morgan's wedding. Your mother says you deliberately excluded them from yours, and now you're refusing to attend Morgan's out of spite. I took a deep breath. Aunt Marie, I have the invitation receipts. Would you like to see them? Silence stretched across the line. What receipts? Email confirmation they opened the digital invitation. Postal tracking showing delivery of the paper invitation. Text messages where I confirmed they received it. My voice remained steady as I attached the files to an email. I'm sending them now. The sharp intake of breath told me she was looking at them. Oh, Leah, they told everyone you forgot. They chose not to come, Aunt Marie, just like they've been choosing Morgan over me my entire life. More silence, then I'll be damned, Carol swore to me. I believe you, Leah. I'm so sorry. That night, I created a group message, including every family member who'd contacted me about this situation. I attached all the evidence, delivery confirmations, opened email receipts, text exchanges, without comment. Within hours, my phone exploded with responses. I had no idea, Leah. Your mother told us a completely different story. We won't be attending Morgan's wedding after all. Carol and Daniel owe you an apology. I sat on our balcony, watching Seattle's lights shimmer across the water as the messages continued to arrive. Evan joined me, placing a warm mug of tea in my hands. You okay? I looked at my phone as another text arrived. Morgan, somehow using yet another number. What have you done? 3 aunts and Uncle Jim just canceled. Mom is hysterical. For the first time since our wedding day, I felt a smile spreading across my face. Not from happiness, but from something else. Liberation, perhaps. The knowledge that truth was finally breaking through decades of carefully crafted lies. I didn't do anything, I told Evan, leaning against his shoulder. Except stop pretending. On my screen, another notification appeared. Morgan's wedding has been postponed due to venue issues. I didn't need to be a software engineer to decode that particular error message. I took a sip of tea and watched as my parents' carefully constructed image collapsed like a house of cards, all without my lifting a finger. My phone buzzed for the 3rd time this morning. I watched the screen light up with Morgan's name, then darken again as I left it untouched on my desk. The Seattle rain tapped against my office window, a gentle percussion that drowned out the humming of computers around me. 3 months had passed since I sent that email with the invitation receipts to my entire family. 3 months of carefully chosen silence. Leah? My supervisor appeared at my cubicle entrance, holding a manila folder. The Henderson project proposal looks excellent. The executive team was impressed with your solutions for the security vulnerabilities. I smiled, feeling a quiet satisfaction spread through me. Thanks, Jared. I wanted to make sure we addressed all the possible weak points before implementation. Well, it paid off. They're giving you lead developer on the next phase, he said, placing the folder on my desk, plus a 15% bump in compensation. Congratulations. As he walked away, I opened the folder to find the official offer letter, the promotion I'd been working toward for 18 months. My fingers traced over the salary figure, $110,400. More than the validation, I appreciated the timing. Proof that stepping away from family drama had allowed me to focus on what actually builds my life, rather than what drains it. My phone buzzed again. This time it was Evan. Dinner with Jake and Sarah tonight? They found a new hiking trail near Snoqualmie they want to tell us about. I typed back quickly. perfect. I got the promotion." His response appeared instantly. Never doubted it for a second. Celebration dinner it is. The contrast wasn't lost on me. How some people celebrate your success while others demand your attention only when it serves their narrative. I silenced Morgan's next incoming call without a second thought. Later that evening, as we shared a bottle of wine with our friends and planned weekend hikes, I realized something had shifted inside me. The constant ache of parental disappointment had dulled to background noise. In its place, coding challenges, mountain trails, dinner conversations, Evan's laugh across the table. Peace built not from forgiveness, but from choosing where my energy belongs. The next morning brought an unwelcome surprise. My office phone rang. An extension I rarely used. Software development? This is Leah Rhodes. Leah? Thank God I finally reached you. My mother's voice sounded hollow through the phone line. Why haven't you been answering our calls? Your father and I have been worried. Sick. I straightened in my chair, eyes darting to my closed office door. I'm at work, Mom. I can't talk right now. Well? When can you talk? This has gone on long enough. Your sister's wedding is in 3 weeks, and there are serious problems with the guest list. Several relatives are declining because of this, situation you've created. The familiar weight of guilt tried to settle on my shoulders. I shrugged it off. That's not my responsibility. Of course it is. You're tearing this family apart. Your father is absolutely devastated. Her voice cracked with practiced emotion. He sent you an email yesterday. Did you even read it? I hadn't. After seeing the subject line, family obligations and responsibilities, I'd filed it away with all the others. I'll read it later, I said, my voice steady. I need to get back to work now. You can't just, goodbye, Mom. I hung up, surprised by how little her words affected me now. I checked my company email instead, finding a message from Aunt Marie that made me pause. Leah, I wanted to let you know Morgan's wedding has been postponed due to venue issues. The real reason, half the guest list declined after learning what happened with your wedding. I'm one of them. I should have stood up for you years ago. I'm sorry it took me this long to see what was happening. If you're ever ready to talk, I'm here. Love, Aunt Marie. That evening, I brought it up during my therapy session, sitting on the blue couch across from Dr. Warner, who had been helping me navigate the fallout for the past 4 months. What does it mean that I feel nothing about their wedding troubles? I asked, staring at the small potted fern on her windowsill. Shouldn't I feel something? Vindication? Sadness? Anything? Dr. Warner watched me thoughtfully. What you're describing sounds like emotional detachment. A natural protection after years of having your feelings dismissed. Tell me what you've realized since we started these sessions. I thought about this question carefully. I was never the problem, I said slowly. I was just inconvenient to their narrative. The quiet, practical daughter who didn't fit their perfect family image. Nothing I could have done would have changed that. And knowing that now, it's freeing, I admitted. Like I've been carrying this weight, thinking if I just tried harder or was more perfect, they would finally see me. But that was never going to happen. Walking out of therapy, the spring evening wrapped around me like a gentle embrace. I understood now that walking away isn't weakness. Sometimes it's the strongest response to those who refuse to see you as you are. The peace lasted exactly 16 days before my mother's tearful voicemail broke the silence. Leah, please. You're breaking your father's heart with this behavior. Morgan had to postpone her wedding again. People are asking questions we can't answer. Call us back, sweetheart. We can work this out as a family. I deleted the message and opened my laptop instead, finding an email from Morgan. The subject line read, "Wedding announcement photos," with several image attachments. Curiosity got the better of me. The photos showed Morgan and her fiancé in a garden setting with a stone path winding behind them. Roses climbing, trellises in soft focus. The composition, the lighting, even the color palette, all of it painfully familiar. They'd recreated our wedding aesthetic, down to the smallest detail. Below the images, Morgan's message was brief. What do you think? Mom says these came out better than yours. I closed the laptop without responding. 2 days later, a certified letter arrived from my father. The formal handwriting on the envelope spoke volumes before I even opened it. Leah, Your continued silence is unacceptable. As your father, I demand an explanation in person. Whatever imagined slight you believe we've committed doesn't justify tearing this family apart during what should be a joyful time. Your behavior has affected Morgan's special day significantly. The least you can do is meet with us to discuss your return to the family before more damage is done. Your mother, and I expect to hear from you within the week. Dad. I folded the family communications I'd been documenting, evidence of a lifetime pattern finally visible on paper. The last attempt came a week before Morgan's rescheduled wedding date. A cream-colored envelope arrived containing a check for $2,000 and a note in Morgan's handwriting. For your dress and travel expenses, Mom and Dad will tell everyone you had scheduling conflicts before. Please just show up and smile for pictures. For the family image, M. I stared at the check, feeling a strange calm settle over me. They'd finally shown their hand completely. My presence wasn't valued, just the appearance of family unity they could display to others. That evening, I wrote a short note on my personal stationery and placed it in an envelope with Morgan's uncashed check. My presence isn't for sale. Leah. As Evan dropped the envelope in the mailbox, he squeezed my hand. You okay? Better than okay, I told him. And meant it. The news spread quickly through the family grapevine. Aunt Marie called to tell me that Mom's sister finally confronted her about their treatment of me after years of silent enabling. Morgan's fiancé had been asking uncomfortable questions about family dynamics after witnessing her meltdown over my response. They're fighting among themselves now, Aunt Marie said. Carol is blaming Daniel for letting it get this far. Morgan is furious with both of them for ruining her wedding plans. It's like watching a house of cards collapse. Are you still going to the wedding? I asked. No, honey, she replied softly. Some things are more important than keeping up appearances. I should have learned that a long time ago. As I hung up the phone, I felt no triumph, no satisfaction in their struggles. Just a quiet certainty that I was exactly where I needed to be, building a life where my worth wasn't determined by how well I fit someone else's story. Morgan's wedding invitation sat on my kitchen counter, its gold-embossed lettering catching the morning light. 3 days until the big day, and the pressure had reached a fever pitch. My phone buzzed with Carol's third message today. I tapped it open reluctantly. Leah, please, just show up. We'll forget everything that happened. Morgan deserves her sister there. I placed the phone face down, my jaw tightening. This followed yesterday's call from another aunt, who started our conversation with casual catch-up before inevitably steering toward, your mother asked me to talk to you. And the day before that, Daniel left a voicemail offering to walk both my daughters down the aisle, as if that erased their absence from my own wedding. Even Morgan sent a text last week. Your absence would be cruel to everyone who loves us both. Don't punish the whole family. Cruel. As if I was the villain in this story. The doorbell rang. I opened it to find a courier with an envelope. The return address showed my father's law firm. Inside was a letter, formal and cold. Consider how family connections benefit your career. The tech industry values networking. Morgan's fiancé's family has connections that could help you advance. Burning bridges now could have long-term consequences. The threat wasn't subtle. I crumpled the paper, tossing it in the recycling bin. My laptop pinged with an email notification. From Morgan. The subject line read, my side of the story. The preview showed the first line. I've drafted a post explaining why my sister abandoned our family, before I share it publicly. I slammed the laptop shut, my heart hammering. When did they become so desperate? My phone buzzed again. A cousin I rarely spoke to. Your mom says we need to choose sides. This is tearing everyone apart. An hour later, Carol herself called. I answered, against my better judgment. Leah. Her voice was tight with forced calm. This has gone on long enough. Come to the wedding, or you're not part of this family anymore. The irony almost made me laugh. When had I ever been treated like I was part of this family? She hung up without responding. Later that evening, I found myself looking through old family photos. There's one from Morgan's 16th birthday. She's blowing out candles while I stand at the edge, half cropped out. Another from my college graduation. They left early because Morgan had a modeling callback. A pattern documented across decades. You okay? Evan asked, finding me surrounded by photo albums. Am I being too harsh? I asked, my voice small. He sat beside me, gently taking a photo from my hands. It showed the empty chairs at our wedding. They skipped our wedding, Leah. Actions have consequences. I nodded slowly. I know. It's just. I've spent my whole life putting their feelings first. At the cost of your own dignity, he said softly. The truth of his words resonated through me. Every family holiday rearranged for Morgan's schedule. Every achievement of mine minimized to avoid overshadowing hers. Every criticism I swallowed to keep peace. My comfort always came at the cost of my dignity. I closed the albums and reached for my laptop. For hours, I worked methodically, compiling everything. The wedding invitation receipt, showing delivery confirmation. Screenshots of the 14 attempts to contact them before our wedding. Their subsequent gaslighting claiming they never received an invitation. By midnight, I had a complete timeline of events, factual and unemotional. I drafted an email to the entire family. No accusations, no anger, just documented truth. To my extended family, there seems to be confusion about my absence from Morgan's wedding. I've attached documentation of what transpired regarding my own wedding. Attached, you'll find postal tracking confirmation of my parents' wedding invitation delivery. Email receipt showing they opened the digital invitation. Screenshot records of my 14 attempts to contact them before the wedding. Their subsequent claims that they never received an invitation. I will not be attending Morgan's wedding. This isn't about punishment or cruelty, it's about consequences for choices made. I wish Morgan a beautiful wedding day. My absence is the consequence of choices made 8 months ago. Sincerely, Leah Rhodes. I pressed send before doubt could creep in. What do you want to do on Morgan's wedding day? Evan asked when I told him. I smiled for the first time in days. Let's hike Olympic National Park. I've always wanted to see it. On the wedding day, while we were standing atop Hurricane Ridge, with the mountains sprawled before us, my new phone pinged. I'd given the number only to Evan's family and a few trusted friends. It was a message from Carol's sister with a photo attachment. Morgan's wedding, the reception half empty, family members conspicuously absent. Your mother is furious. Half the family didn't show up. They're saying they never got invitations. Sound familiar? I should have felt vindication, but all I felt was relief. Relief that the truth was finally visible to everyone. More messages trickled in over the next few days. Relatives apologizing for believing my parents' version of events. My cousin sending screenshots of heated family group chat arguments about Carol and Daniel's behavior. The family narrative was permanently altered. I was no longer carrying the burden of their false image alone. A week after her honeymoon, Morgan called from an unknown number. How could you? She demanded when I answered. You've turned everyone against us. I didn't turn anyone against you, I replied, my voice calm. I simply showed them the truth. You can't ruin my wedding and expect me at yours. The irony of her words hung between us. That's exactly what you and our parents did to me, Morgan. It's different, she shouted, her voice cracking. They always loved me more. Why is everyone taking your side now? Her words confirmed what I'd always known but never heard spoken aloud. This isn't about sides, I said softly. It's about truth. I'm free of needing their approval. Are you? The line went silent for a long moment before she hung up. I looked out my apartment window at the Seattle skyline, feeling a weight lift that I'd carried for 32 years. The truth had finally set me free. Almost 2 years after the wedding, I cradled my 6-month-old son against my chest, his warm weight more comforting than any therapy session. His steady breathing had become my favorite sound in the world. The late afternoon sun filtered through the windows of our Olympia home, casting golden light across the living room floor where Evan sat cross-legged, sorting through photos for the baby album. Look at this one, he said, holding up a picture of Mrs. Rhodes, the only grandmother my son will ever know, cradling him the day we brought him home. Her eyes shone with the same unconditional love she'd shown me since the first time we met. I ran my finger over my son's downy hair. She's coming over tomorrow, right? Wouldn't miss it for anything, Evan replied. Said she's bringing that apple pie you've been craving. Our walls held no portraits of Carol or Daniel, no evidence of Morgan's perfect smile. Instead, they showcased the family we'd chosen: Evan's parents, my support group friends, coworkers who became confidants. People who show up, not just when it's convenient, but when it matters. My phone buzzed against the side table. I shifted the baby slightly to reach for it, expecting a message from work about the software update we launched yesterday. Instead, an unknown number flashed on the screen with a text that made my stomach clench for just a moment before the feeling dissolved like sugar in water. Leah, I know you had a son. You cannot be this cruel. You cannot keep a grandchild from his grandmother. This is wrong. Call me Carol. 2 years ago, these words would have devastated me, sent me spiraling into guilt and second-guessing. I would have read this message a dozen times, crafting careful responses in my head, measuring each word against the inevitable disappointment that would follow. Now, I felt nothing but a calm certainty. Your mother? Evan asked, recognizing something in my expression. He didn't need to specify which mother. Using my cousin's phone, I confirmed, turning the screen so he could see. Same tactics. The same language that once held such power over me. You cannot, you should not, you must, now read as hollow as a script from a bad play. My worth is no longer tied to their approval, my happiness no longer hostage to their validation. My therapist called it emotional neglect when I first described my childhood. Those sessions helped me understand the conditional love that always felt just out of reach, always tied to someone else's definition of success. The support group introduced me to others with similar stories, different details, same wounds, who showed me I wasn't alone. But it was building this life with Evan that finally showed me what family should be. The way he validates my experiences without question. The way his steady presence anchors me when old doubts surface. Jessica from accounting pulled me aside yesterday, I told Evan, shifting our son to my shoulder as he stirs. Her parents are trying to manipulate her into moving back home. What did you say? Evan asked, setting aside the photos. That you can love someone and still need distance. That sometimes boundaries aren't about punishment, they're about protection. The words felt natural coming out, stripped of the bitterness that might have colored them before. I'd found meaning in helping others navigate what I'd survived, paying forward the support that carried me through. I looked down at my son, his tiny features relaxed in sleep, and saw what unconditional love truly looks like. Not a transaction, not a performance, but a gift freely given, without expectation of return. My thumb hovered over the block button for only a second before pressing it. No hesitation, no guilt, no need to explain or justify my boundaries. I set the phone down and pressed my lips to my son's forehead, breathing in his sweet scent. When I looked up, Evan was watching me, his eyes reflecting the same peaceful certainty I felt. He didn't ask if I was sure, didn't need me to explain. He simply smiled, a smile that communicated volumes without a single word passing between us. Our son nestled between us, protected from patterns we'd both vowed to break. This is what family means now, defined by love rather than obligation, by choice rather than blood. And in that redefinition, I found a freedom I never knew existed.